we look at how to advance agriculture in the nation and look at whether we have made progress from where we used to be some 10 years ago. About 10 years ago, many farmers were complaining about certain primitive methods which were not allowing them to make most out of their efforts. But today, we have seen an improvement and a change from where we used to be 10 years ago, as more and more people are using certain machinery on their farms which they didn't used to use before. But the question is, are we really moving ahead from that point, or have we come to settle at using those things which we are using currently? When we take a cue from the world around us, we will see that there are new sophisticated technology that make the processes of farming even more simpler than it used to be. There are places where even drones are flown from one area to another to bring information about the doings and the going-ons on a farm, on plots of land and on acres of land which are used for farming. And this prevents the farmer from worrying himself to move there every day. In our nation, there are some farmers who have to live very close by to their farms. And there are those who, because they don't have availability of good transportation to their farms, have to employ others to be there for them. Now, when you look at some of the challenges these people face, you would see that there's a need to step up. Of course, it's not so for all farmers, because there are those who are using some of these technologies that have been brought into the world and are moving way ahead of other farmers. But on a general, the majority have to step up. There are some farmers who still complain of their harvest facing attack from thieves. And whilst we look at the reason why they are unhappy, we also want to advise them to put in effort in finding sort of security measures to protect their hard work. It is true that you can farm on a land which is yours, but there could be certain things done like razor wires or electric fences which you could use to at least keep off certain thieves and miscreants who would like to spoil all the hard work you've done when the harvest comes. There are also farmers who complain that some of these diseases are not manageable, though most have been directed to pesticides and miticides and fungicides which do this work properly. As to whether they can't purchase them, we are not sure. But if a new farmer is coming into the agriculture sector, we have to ask ourselves, what available funding methods are there for him in case he is broke and he's not able to really go in full time because he has no sources of revenue? Are the funds which were available for some farmers some years ago still available for farmers today? Are these types of loans which we used to give to farmers at a very low interest rate, are they still available? Are these incentive packages which we used to promote the general love for agriculture and farming still available? All these questions come as we look into the ways farming are moving the sector and the economy in this nation. When you speak to some newbies in the agri sector, they express their discouragement that though they have the strength, And though they are passionate about it, certain reasons keep them from going all in. Now, it is true that definitely not all of them would start and make it instantly. But there has to be also a process where some form of education is given to these new farmers who may not have all the knowledge base they require to function on the farm as they would love to. Should we continue to imagine that those farmers who want to enter into the agriculture sector should have the knowledge about farming? No. There has to be some form of education which should not only be in the tertiary levels or in our schools for those people who do those courses, but there have to be those that will be outside of the public schooling system, whereby anyone who is into agriculture can go by and then receive some information, and obviously either for free or at a reduced cost. We have to find ways to make the agriculture sector look very attractive, especially to the young folks who are growing, because they are the ones who have the energies and not the older ones. Well, some people also express that they want to go into agriculture, but their friends, their peers, and sometimes their parents laugh at them, and this keeps them from going in. Isn't it strange that today people have looked down on agriculture, and yet people want to eat food every day? Some people make it look like farming is a poor man's job. It's a dirty job, or it's a job that is for people who are not literate, people who have no schooling, or people who are in the villages. But this mentality has to be washed away. When you go to some countries, the richest people driving some of the most expensive cars and meeting the most influential people in the nation are those who are farmers. We shouldn't allow this look down attitude on farmers to keep us from moving forward as a nation. I spoke to some youth, and these young ones, though they had interest in trying out some farming activities, they told me quite frankly that they did not want to look bad in front of their peers who were obviously known to laugh at them. Because of this, they are not putting in any efforts into farming. When you ask them what they want to do, they are looking at making money through offering of services. And whilst that is not wrong, what happens is that we are paying less attention to the farming, and this is going to, in a general, affect the economy and the nation as a whole. For example, if we have more people planting a certain crop in the nation, let's just use cocoa for an example, we would not see the need to import cocoa if we are producing enough in the nation. But when these farmers who are supposed to be producing the cocoa are being laughed at by their peers and are feeling down and decide not to do it again, when the nation needs cocoa, the government will have to be forced to import it from elsewhere. Now that's just one example among many reasons why we shouldn't look down on agriculture. We should also know that agriculture shouldn't be something that we do away with, because we are the ones who have been given this as part of our culture and our tradition from day one. We should see it as something to cherish, as something to be proud about, as something to love. Moving forward, what are the other ways we can use to get some of these equipment and technology that is being used in the world around us? And how easy is it to get some of these equipment? Another individual we spoke to expressed that he had done some online searches about some of these technologies to use, and after trying to purchase them, he found out that the shipping cost and all the general going about of receiving these things into the nation, it was going to be too expensive for him. So because of things like the shipping, the freight, and what have you, he decided not to go on it anymore until he had the funds to do so. And then the question arose, would this individual have to worry about shipping if we're producing such technologies in our nation? Obviously, from what he said, he had money to purchase it. After looking at the price, though he told us it was quite expensive, he agreed that it was worth it because at the end of the day, it was going to bring him more good and it will cover the cost generally after some years. But his problem was when he added the shipping that was placed on the good, it was just too high for him. So such an individual could have purchased this equipment if it was available in our nation. So the question is, who is responsible for making such technologies and such equipment to be used on our farms? And what are we doing to make sure these people who are responsible are up to work and are doing this? It is good to always purchase something online and purchase something from another country. But do you know what it would mean for our nation, for us to be able to create these technologies ourselves? We cannot say that those people who made them are more brilliant than we are. They may have the exposure, they may have some of the knowledge and the understanding that gives them the guidance to make these things. But if we as a people are also going to their countries and seeing the things they use, we can also learn from them. At least if we don't have the idea about how to make it, we can learn and see how it is made and then make it on our own. We shouldn't always look at importing stuff, because the same brain that created it is the same brain that is in us today. We don't have to make it look like these people who have these technologies are smarter than us. We as a people have to focus on creating witty inventions that will be used to make work easier on our farms. When a young man who told me he had about 3 acres of land wanted to use it for farming, he expressed that because he didn't have enough money to employ laborers, he wanted to do it on his own. But because of the majority of the technology which he never had in his hand, it made it difficult for him, considering the fact that he has to walk and move to this big piece of land and continue to plant and plant and plant. But if this technology was available to him, he would not have to worry too much about the labor he has to put into it. We have to advance in agriculture, and we also have to look at the goods that we store after we produce them. Another area that was of concern was the storage of our products and of our harvest. It was recorded that about 20% of harvest is lost because they are not stored properly and they don't go through the right processes to be stored. And sometimes because the farmers and the retailers are not able to sell them off before their expiry dates. What can we do to make this an issue of the past so that we are not wasting efforts? Because when a farm harvest goes to waste, it means the water, the energy, the seeds, and all that was put into making that plant was also gone into waste. We have to look at better ways of also storing our produce to make sure that we are making profit and not wasting our times. Thank you for listening. and have a nice day.